Hello out there and welcome to Public Conscience. This is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOG. PRIMOG is a civil society group with a mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I am Adaobi Obiabumo with Chidozie Ogbonnaya.
Welcome to the program.
On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations and drawing citizens and government attention for democratic actions against it. This program is supported by the MacArthur Foundation.
And today we will be taking a retrospective look at the journey of bringing Public Conscience on Radio to Nigerians from 2019 till date.
For 2 years now, PRIMOG has amplified investigative corruption reports every week, exposed citizens to the several corruption stories, and also drew the needed attention to the government to all the reports.
And in the last 24 months, our collaboration with our partner media organizations have yielded some remarkable results. Some other outcomes are on the way, while others are yet to be acted upon by the government.
It is worthy to note that through Public Conscience, more awareness was created amongst Nigerians that birth registration and the accompanying birth certificate is free. We resolved extortion in electricity distribution for some citizens living in 3 different communities of the Federal Capital Territory. We also drew the attention of NAFDAC to the fraud in the sale of substandard and unregistered products, which later resulted to a staff of the agency losing his job, and celebrated many Nigerians who displayed integrity in their sphere of influence.
Notwithstanding, the program faced difficulties, bottlenecks, and frustrations in trying to get the relevant authorities and government to act on numerous corruption reports amplified from the inception of Public Conscience.
Importantly, for our esteemed listener, today is one of those days you need to call us and share with us how the program has impacted you. We will be glad to hear from you, so please be ready to join us through phone and text messages. The WhatsApp line to send your message is 0902 265 6167. That is 0902 265 6167. And remember that this number is for messages only.
Please begin to send these messages to our phone as soon as possible to 090 2265 6167. The numbers to call will be given shortly.
In reviewing the impact of Public Conscience today, we will hear from someone who birthed the idea. We will also hear from an organization who committed their hard-earned resources to it, and also from our partner media organizations.
Joining us here in the studio to look through the journey in amplifying corruption reports, we have the chairman of Peggy Resident Association, Isaac Taiwo Aderibigbe. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
NUJ chairman, Mr. Emmanuel Ogbeche. We will have Deputy Director, MacArthur Foundation, Africa Office, Dayo Laide, join us.
The Deputy Director at Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, Kolawole Oluwadare, would also join us. And Oluwenga Adanikin, Senior Investigative Journalist of the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, would also have the convener, Say No Campaign, Ezenwanwagu, and the lead director, Center for Social Justice, Eze Onyepere. Also have the program officer at the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, Godwin Onyacholem, and the country director of Accountability Lab Nigeria, Friday Ode. They will all join us via the phone.
But first, let's start by speaking to the brain behind Public Conscience on Radio. He's a veteran journalist and the executive director, PRIMOG, Ohiri Abonseremi, who now joins us on the phone.
Hello, Okiria.
Thank you very much, Adaobi Obiabumo and Chidozie Ogbonnaya. Thank you for having me on the program.
We are glad to have you join us. Could you walk us through the concept of public conscience on radio?
Yes, we created this program to take the war of corruption to the public place. The concept was in pursuit of our goal to, as it were, prick the conscience of citizens and government to take the necessary democratic actions against those mentioned in corruption reports. It is to drive messages for the reawakening of the consciousness of Nigerians through the airwaves, through radio, across many states. And we have been able to get to listeners in at least 15 states, cutting across the 5 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, with the exception of the Northeast. And now we have reinvented radio and created a unique content that reaches over 10 million listeners weekly through the dedication of public conscience in many radio stations across Nigeria. And I must mention that they have bits of public conscience at the investigative media houses, the IPR, the Cable, Daily Trust, Reporters, and the many civil society groups like Accountability Lab, EDA, SERAP, PSG, African, all involved at different fronts in the fight against corruption.
Okay, in going forward, we know that getting funds for these days are not easy. How did you secure funds for the program, and share with us some of the challenges public conscience on radio faced in the last 2 years? If you can wrap that up in 1 minute, we'll be glad.
Well, I will need to take like 2 minutes because this issue is very important.
All right, go ahead, sir.
2 years ago with Dr. Collins Shetima, Director of Africa and of the MacArthur Foundation, featuring to explain the support the foundation has had for investigative journalism in Nigeria and as a tool to fight corruption. Today, Dayo Olaide, MacArthur's Deputy Director, will be joining us for the review of these 2 years. This explains the importance the foundation attached to the fight against corruption using the media. We appreciate the support of the MacArthur Foundation, without which the production and the area of this program would not have been possible. And remember that the investigative reports we're also amplifying were supported by the MacArthur Foundation itself. And we have been successful, if you ask me, but we have not been satisfied. The challenges have been the enormous challenges of government ignoring corruption reports when you bring them out. And we need to continue collectively to bring those involved in the corruption to book. And because corruption resides in government circle, getting government officials to come to this program has been a big challenge. And if you ask me, it boils down to the roots of the problem. That is, government continues neglect to take action when corruption is reported.
That is
government continues neglect to take up the issues of corruption when stories like this, corruption-related stories, are reported. But we must keep on doing what we do at Public Conscience, talking about it, amplifying these reports. Thank you so much for being a part of this program, Onkiri Agbonsuremi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We still have Emmanuel Ogboche, the chairman of the NUJ Council. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, do you think radio programs like Public Conscience add value to the...
First of all, let me say congratulations on this milestone. 2 years is by no means an easy task, and you have been consistent and persistent in this endeavor, so we say congratulations. Yes, radio is the biggest communication tool you have, much more than any other platform except for social media that is on the rise. And one is persuaded that what Bragmore has done over the past 2 years is incredible. You've brought to fore that there are platforms in which people can access, such as the Open Treasury Portal, where a whole lot of journalists now have access to. And I think most journalists, if you take statistics, got to know of that on this program. And without a doubt, government has taken some measures, like you rightly noted, on what reports you've done. I remember the yellow fever and Lassa fever that was featured, how government agencies scuttle efforts to tackle those two diseases. And I think action was taken to remedy that effort. So I am fully persuaded that radio has added value to the issue of transparency and accountability in public affairs.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Radio has added value, and public conscience in particular. Joining us is Dayo Olaide, who is the Deputy Director, MacArthur Foundation Africa Office. Thank you for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, funds from the MacArthur Foundation made the running of this program possible. Why is the MacArthur Foundation placing much confidence on investigative journalism in the fight against corruption?
Thanks, Obi. I think there are quite a number of reasons that we can enumerate. First is to acknowledge the fact that the media is probably the only member of the civil society with a constitutionally established role, which makes it a very critical part of any government or governance process anywhere in the world where democracy exists. In our country, the Constitution actually acknowledges the responsibility of media as a watchdog. So that, for me, is a critical part of the consideration. Second is acknowledging the fact that for us, our focus being anti-corruption, the role of citizens in any anti-corruption is critical. In fact, citizens' participation is probably the surest sustainability mechanism for any anti-corruption work. But how can citizens fully engage if they do not have access to what is actually happening? Corruption takes place behind the table, behind the room, in the darkness, at the middle of the night. And so you need a strong, enabled, committed, investigative journalism practice to be able to expose corruption, to be able to remove the veil on corruption. And so that's partly what is also motivating our involvement, that we are trying to get media organizations to begin to focus more on investigative journalism in order to provide the information that the public out there needs to be able to get involved. And I think a third important motivation for us is acknowledging that fighting corruption is dangerous anywhere. It's dangerous. Hello?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah, so I was saying that the third motivation is acknowledging the fact that the fight against corruption anywhere is dangerous and will always pitch the media against government. Now, there is a connecting corollary, which is also the fact that on the one hand, the public expects the media, investigative journalism, to expose corruption. But the media, on the other hand, also depends on patronage, by which I mean advertisements from governments to be able to survive. So there is always that dilemma between media, in the minds of media organizations. Do we invest in investigative journalism and lose patronage, adverts from government? Or do we actually go ahead and satisfy our constitutional role and therefore look elsewhere for patronage? So this is something that the foundation feels is at the heart of the reason why there are only very few organizations doing investigative journalism. If you take the roll call today, most of those media organizations doing investigative journalism are donor funded. The Sahara Report,
Correct.
The Cable News, the Primark, the Signature TV, all of these organizations are all donor funded. And so part of what we are also trying to do is to work with these different organizations to be able to create new business models that guarantees editorial independence and therefore shields them from external pressure or influences, so that they can maintain the focus and their commitment under the Constitution and to the general people of this country.
Thank you so much for that submission, and we must also appreciate MacArthur Foundation. But do you think that funding a program like this has added significant value to the fight against corruption in Nigeria?
Undoubtedly. I've seen quite a number of your short video vignettes going to the public, for example, to ask the public what do they think on different issues around corruption, anti-corruption. So whether it's in terms of laws or the lack of it, or specific corruption cases, or the role of citizens. I think that opportunity to be able to get the feedback from citizens, for me, is most empowering, because then you have the opportunity to inform them, but at the same time, you can also get feedback that can inform your own program, but feedback that can also inform your communication with the different agencies responsible for or driving anti-corruption. So I think programs like this certainly create a window for citizens to be involved. And I think even more importantly is the fact that radio, given its reach, okay, it's able to reach millions of Nigerians at the same time. Now, different parts of the country actually consider radio as their surest way, as their main source of information. And so using the radio to be able to reach millions of people across the country, I think again, enables the fight against corruption. Nothing can be more empowering than the kind of work that you guys are doing because of your reach. And I think it's very it's really rewarding to see that a lot of Nigerians, whether they are professional organizations, are able to call in, whether into your town hall or during the talk stop that you guys organize regularly. So without doubt, on our part, we are really convinced that yes, this is helping to inform the general public, it's helping to mobilize them, and it's also helping to get important feedback that those managing our resources need to hear.
Thank you so much, and we must sincerely appreciate you, like I said earlier, and also appreciate the foundation for the support to all of these organizations that you mentioned initially. Thank you so much, Dayo Olaide.
Following public conscience discussions of the report by the Cable of Extortion and Electricity Meter Distribution, residents of Pegi community in Kuje rushed to Primorg. We took a town hall meeting to Pegi in Kuje Area Council with AEDC and others following us. We have in the studio Isaac Aderibibe, the chairman of the Community Association. Welcome to the program once again.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Public conscience drove away corruption from your community. How much of an impact has the community felt from the program?
Once again, I want to thank members of the 4th Estate of the Realm for giving us this opportunity, and I'm privileged to have with me for the second time the chairman NUJ FCT Council, Comrade Ogbeche, who have also been supportive, but in particular Primorg. The program Public Conscience has been impactful. It has also helped to educate residents of Pegi community in particular and FCT. We were your guest. Initially, we're thinking of a customer coming with a complaint, but little did the anchor knew that we are coming to speak as a community. And I must confess, in the last 2 years, the service provider have upped their game. After the encounter on the 24th of May in one of the radio stations, and Radio Town Hall as a follow-up, and thereafter Town Hall, which was adjudged the most successful because the feedback from residents, I should say over 68% of residents of Pegi community are now metered, and this sharp practices from the unscrupulous staff of AEDC, all of these have been taken care of. We should also commend AEDC to have responded when these complaints came to their doorstep.
It's good that AEDC, NEC officials, FCCPC, they were all represented at that town hall meeting. And from what you just said, a whole number of persons, households have been metered as a result of that town hall.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Joining us via phone is the Deputy Director at Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, Kolawole Oluwadare. Thank you for joining us. Nigeria still grapple with corruption in the public sector and bad governance despite efforts by Primorg, SERAP and other partners. How much do you think a radio program like this has helped to push the campaign and advocacy forward?
Programs like this form part of the advocacy that drives that consciousness in people about the evils of corruption and the fact that they can clearly does in the results of citizens. Not only to refuse bad corruption, but also to overcome it. So programs such as this, awareness programs that are media and social media, but whoever radio has its own peculiar segment of the people it caters to is important to keep the corruption and the negative thing it brings at the forefront of public discourse and to make sure that people know enough to hold government to account. Unfortunately, it may look like the war against corruption is not being won because of that perception that is out there. And people think that platforms such as what you are doing is not important, but it is. Because it's one of those avenues that people can really get to hear objective information and also expect that news, which is part of their human rights. So I believe it goes a long way.
Thank you so much for your submission. And Primorg will continue to amplify reports by SERAP.
Thank you very much.
And from him, we'll go straight to Olubenga Adanikin.
He's a senior investigative journalist with the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR. Thank you, Olubenga, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
But Olubenga, collaborations between ICIR and Primorg yielded some notable results. Immediately, your exposure of corruption at NAFDAC over product certification was amplified on this program. We saw suspensions, investigations, and sack of officers. Will you say this collaboration was fruitful?
And what will you make of programs like Public Conscience after 2 years?
Okay, well, thank you very much for this opportunity once again. First, I would like to quickly remind you that the ICIR is an independent non-profit news organization that seeks to promote transparency, accountability through robust, objective investigative reporting. So, partnership with organizations such as Primorg has been impactful. It has been very, very impactful, particularly in the area of amplifying some of our investigations, which to a very large extent also contributes to the impact. Yes, the very instance you mentioned, which is about the report on NAFDAC, on NAFDAC officials who were involved in corrupt practices in terms of issuing license to officials through the back door. Yes, the official was because we caught the person on camera. There's no way they could deny it, and then we have all the evidences. Thereafter, we're also excited that NAFDAC took action. And then in another public event which I personally attended, I was opportune to meet with one of the senior directors in NAFDAC. And then after raising some questions, after the entire meeting, she walked up to me and said, "Oh, you guys did a very wonderful job. That she is actually in NAFDAC as a government worker, but what we did, it's so nice." And then she even wants us to do more. And as a matter of fact, NAFDAC is just one of several other impactful reports that we've done. We could remember the story on pet registration under the National
Population Commission.
Commission, yes. Long before now, Nigerian women, probably because of poverty or something, they are not used to requesting for birth certificates. Even if they do, they are asked to pay some amount of money. Meanwhile, birth registration should be free.
So would you now say that the program and the partnership with Primorg, that's the partnership between ICIR and Primorg, has been impactful in the last 2 years?
It has been very impactful. I said that earlier, and I gave instances. In fact, we after the story, we even visited National Hospital to do just like a normal, post investigation survey, and then start among the women who came for vaccination and all that. Then I will now realize that the National Hospital has set up a special table for women.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I personally walk up to them and ask, how much is this if I'm to get the birth certificate for my daughter? And they said, no, it's free of charge. They don't even know who I am. They don't know, I didn't even introduce myself. So it has been so this kind of partnership should be sustained.
Thank you so much. It will be sustained.
We must thank you very much, Olumbenga, but we'll move on to the convener, Say No Campaign, Ezenwa, who joins us on the phone.
Thank you, Ezenwa, for joining us.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We are fine. Hope you are good too.
Excellent.
Behind the scene, for those who are not aware, you stood solidly behind Primorg from the inception, and now it's 2 years since Public Conscience was launched. How do you see the impact of this anti-corruption program?
Well, my sense is that it started a new vista for anti-corruption programming in the media. What we have before Primorg was one that dragged people, but this one is shifting the needle, and that's the value addition that we've gotten from the program. Just like the ICRI guy just said, anything, any form of activism, any form of programming content that does not shift the needle from one point to the other is noise. So I want to congratulate Primorg. You've brought a new vista in terms of bringing to public consciousness the issues around how to navigate the bottlenecks that public servants put in the way of citizens to access service delivery, and so it's exciting to have a radio program that is touchlighting, that is pointing out, that is correcting, that is educating. So for me, Primorg has actually exceeded my expectation within these 2 years.
Thank you so much. And we must also appreciate you because you stood solidly behind Primorg when we started, and you're still there with us in the course of the program, and you've never turned us down. Thank you so much for all the support.
Congratulations, Primorg.
Thank you so much, Ezenwa Mwagu. We also have via phone the program officer at the Center for Media and Information Literacy, Godwin Onya-Cholem, joining us. Thank you for being a part of this program, Godwin.
Thank you, madam.
Thanks
for having me.
All right. In most of our programs, there have been calls for the protection of whistleblowers to be made a priority. Primorg and AfricMail used Public Conscience to push for more engagements with whistleblower policy. Do you think we need more radio advocacies?
Well, before I answer that question, first of all, let me congratulate Primorg. You guys have been wonderful. Your presence in the civic space has further enriched, the activities around deepening, anti-corruption and then the quest for good governance in the country. So we've all benefited from what you have been able to do over the past 3 years, and AfricMail in particularly grateful for the mileage you have given us in terms of the promotion of whistleblowing activities in the country. Yeah, so to get down to the question, I think that, yes, you cannot, the radio advocacy you are doing has helped a lot. like I said, in pushing our own mileage around whistleblowing, and we are seriously encouraged by that. I remember having appeared in one of these radio activities somewhere in a radio program, somewhere in, was it on the ITS? I remember, yes, on the ITS, and it was fantastic. So we need to really like that to continue in the line you are taking. You know, the radio activities is important, programs are important. We need to keep talking about corruption. You know, there is no way we can totally eradicate corruption, but the only way we can do that is to keep doing what people like Primark are doing. You know, pushing the matter out on radio. I mean, advocating that people key into, anti-corruption strategies like whistleblowing and things like that. So we need more of your, the presence on radio in terms of pushing the quest for good governance, anti-corruption, and other issues on radio.
Thank you so much for your submission. I want to say that we at Primark will keep using the radio to advocate. Thank you so much for your submission. Godwin Onyacholem.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
We still have in the studio Isaac Adere Bigbe, the chairman of the Peggy community, and Emmanuel Ogbeche, the FCT chair of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. But before we get back to you, let's quickly open the phone line to get you out there. You've been listening to the program. In what ways have we, that is public conscience, impacted you? And are you more informed now than before? Do you think government responds appropriately to issues raised on this program? I would start with Emmanuel Ogbeche. Some reports were amplified on this program. They were ignored. We have the report done by the Daily Trust Foundation on abandoned UBEC project. We also have that of COVID-19 palliative, which we wrote to the Presidential Task Force, and we were also ignored. What are we losing as a nation when government and MDAs neglect reports on corruption investigation?
Well, we've written to the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency as well. We've written to Ministry of Steel and Solid Minerals. It is regrettable to see that chief executives, accounting officers of ministries, departments, and agencies tend to believe that they are above the law. What the society loses in the long run is that corruption thrives and development is stifled.
Corruption thrives and development is stifled.
You can imagine that universal basic education would ignore requests for information on abandoned projects. What does that mean? That means classrooms that ordinarily would have been built are not built. It simply translates to the fact that more kids would either be in ramshackle classrooms or ones that are non-existent. It translates to the fact that you can't find pupils in school because the parents are not guaranteed that their children will be safe. Nigeria has over 10.5 million out-of-school children. And when you don't build classrooms and you elect to neglect the fact that a request is made on projects that have been abandoned so that contractors and officials that are responsible can be brought to book.
Comrade, let me jump in here, please. We'll get back to this discussion, but we have on the phone the lead director, Center for Social Justice, Ezonyekbere. Welcome to the program, sir. All right. CSJ's analysis of Auditor General report were highlighted on this program several times. Do you think the relevant authorities reacted appropriately to our advocacy? And what do you think are responsible for the low response?
Well, the general report over the years has been a report that authorities have refused to respond to. I think I'm bringing it up on time organization is a really good opportunity to ensure that more issues heard of it and, of course, took their own respective actions. So I think it's a matter of that has been used medically in respect of the general report. And of course, the need for policy reform in terms of reforming the laws is that it can have more follow-up hours, to follow up on the results, especially sanctions or social persons who have not belonged to the treasury. The power which currently the general number. So that's partially why we may say we did not actually get the kind of follow-up action that we had expected.
Many thanks for coming. Yeah.
So how much do we need anti-corruption programs like Public Conscience in Nigeria?
Yeah, there are quite a number of programs, and whatever success that will be a product of some form of complementary terms of people coming together, attacking the challenges from side A, side B, and then after some time, definitely some progress. But definitely, the program has made some progress in terms of bringing up these issues to the front of national discourse, because change does not happen in a day. And aggregation of development funds and market of time will begin to chip away at the program and then change comes.
Thank you so much for your submission, Eze Onyekwere.
Thank you. We'll quickly move on to the country director of Accountability Lab, Friday Ode. They've been our partners in this journey. Friday, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Accountability Lab has partnered with Primorg in celebrating Nigerians who display integrity in their area of influence. So share with us the impact of public conscience in achieving your aims and objectives at Accountability Lab.
Once again, I must really commend your efforts. It's been an exciting journey, and we look forward to continuing this journey with Primorg. We are also appreciative of the support you guys have provided. But let me start with saying good morning, Nigerians and listeners. At Accountability Lab, I think we share the same goal for building accountability in Nigerian system with Primorg, and one of the things we've seen in this process is amplifying the discussion of integrity through our Integrity Icon project and through your project as well. With this being said, we are very appreciative that amplifying this work, we've been able to cover more grounds that we didn't envisage, basically with the support of Primorg, and we're very happy to see this happen. We've covered most particularly the 6th geopolitical zone with the program Primorg has been running through the nation. That's one impact which we think we've been able to achieve by amplifying that. Secondly, I've heard a couple of people speak, and one of the things, though we don't have background information, but yes, we've had some fantastic feedback through the change of knowledge, attitudes and practices of Nigerians through the program. Through Public Conscience, we've been able to educate citizens on why integrity is necessary through our Integrity Icon project. Through our partnership, basically, we've been able to educate citizens on knowledge, practices, and attitudes which are beneficial in terms of building integrity into our system, into the Nigerian system, which I think we have a lack of trust deficits in the Nigerian system. However, with this partnership and this discussion we've been having week in, week out at an expanse level throughout Nigeria, we've been able to reach out more people and change the mindset of people to believe like we need people of integrity leading us in public spaces, doing the right thing and making sure citizens benefit from the services of government. So that's what I think.
And we will keep this partnership going. But
I agree with 100%.
but thank you very much for coming in at this time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right then.
And back in the studio, we still have Comrade Emmanuel Obeche
and Isaac Aderebigbe, the chairman of the Peggy community. Isaac Aderebigbe, how is your community fighting other forms of corruption and neglect by government?
Thank you very much. Primorg, I must say, has given us a wonderful opportunity in engaging government constructively and has also helped improve community activism. Residents of Peggy community are more enlightened, and the FCT residents are now eager to engage the government. Government, of course, cannot be everywhere, but it takes the participation of citizens, because you are holding their position or elective position or appointed position in trust for the people. I should say the abandoned project of over a decade, 14-kilometer road awarded by the FCT administration, through public conscience, we have been able to not just engage the FCT administration. I must commend the Honorable Minister and the Permanent Secretary, while our community were asking questions on the state of the 14-kilometer road awarded on the 27th of March 2011, and no construction work was going on there. We invoked the FOI Act, and right here in the studio, the Department of Legal Service were calling the legal advisor and I to come for the contract document, and so many revelations.
I was going to ask you about that project particularly, because we were at the FCT minister's gate some time
on the
ago.
16th of February. I and the legal advisor were celebrating our birthday, protesting for the liberation of the people of Peggy community. We through this platform also, we have also involved the Department of State and ICPC, who have also swung into action, and the FCT administration have compelled the contractor to resume back to site. It's better late than never, though.
Is the contractor back?
Is back on site. I can confirm that is back on site. But there are other aspects. I know through this platform we have also activated those are units within the FCT department that are now active. But I want us to beam a searchlight on AMMC and development control, where fraudulent allocation of community plots like event center, cemetery, hospital have been allocated to individual by room 115, the special duties unit.
Do you have your facts?
We have our facts. We have written in 2018, we wrote to the Honorable Minister, and he ordered through Urban and Regional Planning Department the recovery of those sites. The recovery exercise started, but was halted along the line. And we are just expecting the FCT administration to come, recover those sites, erect signposts, so that unsuspected buyers will not fall victim, and also to stop the bickering. This has also created within the community. It has exposed the leadership and our team to threats from those beneficiaries, but we care less. We are determined in making Nigeria a better place.
Yes, we must stay on that
making Nigeria a
positivity.
better place. We still have Emmanuel Ogbeche in the studio.
So,
how should we? You are a journalist. You are the chairman of the NUJ Abuja Council. How should we keep journalists motivated in the midst of obvious neglect of investigative reports by government and the anti-corruption agencies?
Capacity building, more engagement. Because it's not just enough to say we're journalists. And I remember that you're talking about the issue of funding, which is very critical. We need capacity building on alternative funding for media organizations and for journalists. Most journalists just go through the rudimentary training of being a journalist, reporting events, and getting interviews. But following the trail is very critical. And how do you do that without empowerment, without getting your capacity, enhanced? And that is why organizations such as Primor is very important in this direction.
Comrade, should there be legislation on media owners, publishers, on paying their staff? Because I've been a victim of this, and
we've been chasing for a media salary scale because it is very important.
Media is important in the fight against corruption.
Yes, we'll be chasing for a media salary scale because we believe that without economic empowerment, we'll continue to have journalists that are compromised, and simply because most media organizations are owned by politicians or politically exposed individuals that owe allegiance to government and political parties. We will continue to have the issue of non-payment of salaries and remuneration. So it is important that when we have a media salary scale that outlines what is required for you to own a media house, and if you do not abide by what is in the status book, you will not operate. We know of an individual that went to South Africa and couldn't last barely a year. You understand?
Yeah.
And that is the kind of situation we want. But I believe that there are labor laws in this country we should test. There are individuals that have gone to the industrial court and have won cases against their employers. I mean media practitioners, journalists. And we should continue to pursue that angle. But we also require that we come together, people support the union that is the umbrella body of journalists, so that we can collectively pursue this. When we shy away from the courts, these people think they are infallible, they are untouchable, but they are not. There are laws that can still help in this direction, and we should exploit those ones.
We hope to see you drag some of these politicians whom you said some time ago that they are impoverishing journalists. We hope to see you through your office drag them to the mud and then change the narrative.
We will not drag them in the mud.
But we must do something.
We are engaging them.
You will keep engaging them.
We will keep engaging them.
Mr. Isaac, last word from you.
Well, I should thank Primog. Gave me the opportunity to reconnect with the country director of Accountability Lab, who is a childhood friend. We've lost contact for over 34 years, Friday Ode. I also want to employ residents in the FCT and in Nigeria to come together, create the platform and leverage on the media space in advocating and engaging governments for good governance. Thank you.
Section 22 of the Constitution is what empowers the media to hold the government accountable. And that's how we are wrapping it up on today's episode of the program.
But please visit the news page of our website, news.primorg.org. That is news.primorg.org for all the details of our report and interviews. Visit our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about Primorg.
I want to sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Those who couldn't call in, we appreciate you. And we also sincerely appreciate the chairman of the Peggy community. Thank you so much, Taiwo and Deribibe. Thank you so much for being a part of this program.
My pleasure.
We also sincerely appreciate Emmanuel Ogbeche, who is the chairman, Abuja Council of the NUJ. Thank you so much for being a part of this program.
Thank you very much, and keep doing what you're doing.
We are eternally grateful to the Executive Director of Primorg, Ohiri Agbonsuremi, and the Deputy Director at MacArthur Foundation Africa Office, Dayo Alaide, who both joined us via the phone. And for you watching our videos on Primorg TV, our YouTube channel, want to please encourage you to subscribe and get reminders when we have a new post.
And not forgetting the Deputy Director at Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, Kolawole Oluwadare. We also appreciate Olubenga Adanikin of International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, convener, Say No Campaign, Ezenwamagu, League Director, Center for Social Justice, Eze Onyekbere. We appreciate you. Program Officer at the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, AfricMe, Godwin Onyacholem, and the Country Director of Accountability Lab, Nigeria, Friday Ode, who all spoke to us via the phone.
Public Conscience is supported by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org.
Join us again here next week for another interesting episode of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Official Primorg. I am Chidozie Obunnaya.
And do remember that you can give us information or hint about corrupt acts through our phone 0902 265-6167 or info@primorg.org. I am Adaobi Obiabumo. Stay safe.